Hello and welcome to the Home Business Podcast. My name's Phil. Joining me, I've got Rohan. Good morning, Rohan.
Good morning. How's it going?
Good, thank you. And today we are joined by Simon. Hey, Simon.
Hey guys, how you going?
Good.
Hey, Simon. Good.
As usual, this episode of the Home Business Podcast is sponsored by Home Business Cloud by Nabu. Easily access your local Home Assistant instance remotely for a small monthly fee that supports the Home Assistant and the ESP Home projects. Configuration is done via the user interface, so no fiddling with the router settings, SSL certificates, or any YAML. Simon, welcome to the podcast. Thank you for taking the time to talk to us. I know it's late here in Australia. Whereabouts are you calling from?
Yeah, I'm in Sydney, so I'm another local Aussie like yourself. So
I love it. Yeah, thank you. It was always good to have another one up late with me, knowing that I'm not the only Aussie up late talking to Rohan. It's good.
That's right.
So how did you get started in home automation and how did you get here today?
I've sort of always been a tinkerer since I was like really young. I used to get in trouble for like taking apart gifts I'd just been given like in front of the people that gave it to me that same day.
Oh.
So, it was a bit of a
Nice.
a bit of a thing. But I sort of started out with like an Arduino and I'd written some random scripts and stuff and connected it to a PC and had a relay module and doing all sorts of things with light and stuff. But Home Assistant was probably, I don't know exactly when in terms of year and that sort of stuff, but I'm pretty sure it was like 0.59 or something like that when I started. So it was a while back now. None of the Lovelace or anything like that.
Yep.
And I've just sort of been going since then. I think I've rebuilt it about 3 times, trying to, streamline things.
Yep.
But I've been slowly going towards more like a vanilla install ever since, trying to get rid of custom stuff and just work with whatever's built in. So yeah,
and when you say like vanilla, do you mean like removing custom components, would you say?
Pretty much, as much as I can, Just going with all the stuff that's built into core.
Yeah.
I just find it's a lot more, less upkeep and a lot more stable.
Yep.
Do you find that they, like the ones you were using, like did you find that they cause like crashes and etc., or is it just like a more different place to update, different things to do, that kind of thing, like just different processes?
More so just more to do. I was running in a Docker instance at the time, so it was a lot more sort of manual work. Just keeping track of updating everything. So but I moved over to Home Assistant OS now on a separate little mini PC I bought from work, like an ex-work one.
Yep.
So it's
right.
Yeah, it's not bad. It's a bit different to what I was doing before, but it works really well.
And Home Assistant was your first like home automation controller? Like you didn't come from somewhere else and then go into Home Assistant, or?
I'd sort of seen like OpenHab but I'd never really used it. I sort of thought it was kind of, even though I hadn't used it, it sort of seemed clunky to me. Like I just didn't like the look of it. I never really went down that way.
Right.
I don't know if you guys had used any of that before, but I just sort of looked at it and just went, no, it just seems a bit, it's not as polished. Even the early days of Home Assistant seemed a lot more polished to me. So
I like experimented with one like random Windows one, and it was clunky. It was very basic. I checked out HomeSeer, but then that was like a Windows based app. It was very Z-Wave focused. You sort of needed to have a whole Windows machine running 24/7 for it, which I thought was a bit overkill at the time. And then I was sort of like in a decision point, like, all right, where do I go from here? I started looking around. And I think, Home Assistant was really starting to come on when I was sort of, everyone was starting to talk about Home Assistant, right? And I was like, let's check it out. The decision point for me was I'm going to go open source, something that's that I can control, not something like locked in. Like I think Fabaro have a whole home control center that you can get. It's like $1,000, and I was like, I'm not keen on spending $1,000 for something that I don't have full control over potentially. and I think OpenHab and Home Assistant were sort of the two contenders. And the only reason I really chose Home Assistant at the time was because I read that OpenHab, I think, was written underneath in Java, and if I wanted to do custom coding, I wasn't really keen on getting Java, right? Having to go in and code Java, whereas Python seemed a bit of a less learning curve for me.
Yeah, I did a bit of Java at uni, and I just could not stand it. And I was just like, no.
Yeah, that's it, right?
Not for me. Yeah.
Yeah. And even for me, like I started down when I moved into this house, I did Smart Things. I started with that, right? And it again, at the time, even it was pretty slick. And like, even as like, and this is again, very early days of Home Assistant, right? Where as Home Assistant was still building, and there was no, again, like you said, Simon, there's no Lovelace, there's no any of that stuff either. But, and Smart Things was really slick. This is way before the Samsung acquisition of it and so on. But, it was, if I wanted to do anything even remotely advanced, I needed to learn Groovy, and honestly, that I wasn't getting into that. And it's like, I just didn't want to do that. And I said, okay, you know what? This is YAML, which to be fair, I didn't know that YAML at the time either, but it's not a programming language, right? It's just a structure. And you just say, okay, it's fairly logical. Okay, cool. Like, here it is. Right. And I saw it was actually, there's a lot of people talking about it, meaning I knew there was going to be at least decent community support behind it. And to be fair, Smart Things also had that at the time, but it's, it was just, I don't know, Home Assistant seemed a lot easier to do more advanced things, rather than having to learn a whole new programming language, right? That's just annoying to me. So.
And you've probably seen it, Phil, at least here in Australia, that we're starting to see a lot more options for devices and things now, but back then there was a lot less.
Oh, such a hassle. Like, even Z-Wave devices that I remember there's a Z-Wave mouse trap that was available in the US. Just alert you on a simple Z-Wave, say, hey, I've caught a mouse, come and deal with it. But in Australia, because of the frequencies are different for Z-Wave, you couldn't actually purchase like that device because no one made that radio frequency for that device. So there's and then good luck trying to get Philips Hue, the new Philips Hue bulbs. I think Europe has a whole bunch of Philips Hue stuff that we don't have access to.
Wow.
And IKEA, I think, IKEA was it took ages to bring out some of their smart home stuff. I don't think we've got the IKEA smart sensor that they've just released this year. The blinds, I think, of becoming maybe no longer being sold in Australia for whatever reason. They're hard to find. So it's always, a slow trickle getting stuff down here because the market's just not enough, right? Even combined with New Zealand, who have the similar sort of, the same power sockets, same sort of standards and all that. So frustrating.
I mean, back then, you were sort of forced to mix and match things. So Home Assistant was really the one thing you'd be like, I know I can get this to work here between all these different brands. So,
yeah. Did you guys find that it's like in Australia, it's because you guys have a lot of issues with, what am I trying to say? You guys have a lot of issues with getting products, like you were saying, right? So do you find that that's the case with everything, even like Wi-Fi, BLE, like all of those kind of things? Is it just it's a much harder RF kind of market?
Australia invented Wi-Fi, so we're fine with our Wi-Fi. But I think
it's more of a regulation thing.
I don't. We're a bit slow. Yeah, like in a lot of senses, the government's pretty progressive on some things, but we do it on sort of caution. Sometimes if we've got 5G pretty quickly, right?
Yeah,
and all that stuff. It's just I think once the regulations are there, then it's just comes down to, all right, what company is actually going to come down and bring this new technology down under when there's only 25 million Australians, whereas there's 100 million in America or something. So
because I think even you guys were pretty early in adopting Wi-Fi 6E as well, right? With the new 6 gigahertz spectrum and so on. But interesting.
Yeah. So Simon, tell us a bit about your smart home setup. What does your current smart home look like, or how do you consider it smart?
it's sort of a whole bunch of stuff joined together at the moment. We're renting, so there's only so much that we can do. But I kind of had just patched together and installed things on top of existing infrastructure in the house. Like there's we've got an alarm system. It's like a DSC branded alarm system.
And that's from the house that you brought yourself,
that's in
or
the
was
house.
already attached? Yeah,
it was already in the house. Yeah. So, but I wanted to sort of connect that and get all the sensors and arm and disarm and that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And I found there's like a board you can get where you can plug in an Ethernet cable and connect it all up. But obviously I can't run wires, so that's useless to me. But I found like an open source repository someone to put on GitHub, and you can flash it onto an ESP8266 or an ESP32. It basically mimics a keypad, so it's like it's another keypad on the alarm system.
Yep.
And from that, I just took their schematics and had a PCB made and just plugged it in and piggybacked off that. So that actually works really well.
So there's a port on the control panel that you can plug into to then access it?
Yeah, so there's inside the board, there's like 4 terminals that your keypad's plugged into now, and you just piggyback off those. And as far as it's concerned, it's just another keypad. Like, it doesn't know any better.
And so there was no damage to the original keypad? Because I'm guessing, like, as a renter, you're going to have to return the keypad to its original form. So you didn't damage the keypad?
No, the keypad's still on the wall. So the keypad is there. You can still use it. It's in the actual cabinet that holds all the board that controls the alarm.
Right. Yeah, gotcha. Okay, now, yeah.
So you just screw into a terminal, and then when I leave, I just take it out. And like,
that's so cool.
Great. So yeah, it's pretty good.
And that gives you like access to all the sensors as well?
Yeah, so there's the keypad's right near the front door. So that has like a sensor, a reed switch piggybacked off that to give me the door sensor of the front door. Yep. And there's obviously all the motion sensors. There's a motion sensor in the garage. And yeah, I just did all that information through. So that works really well.
That's really cool. And I'm guessing all these sensors are hardwired into the house then?
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah, very nice.
So I've got some. I've also got some like Philips Hue motion sensors and that sort of stuff. But I like the idea of avoiding batteries wherever I can.
100%.
So,
yeah. Like, I've just gone in and installed like battery door sensors in all the doors in the house, right? Internal, external. And just having to change the batteries is a nightmare.
Yeah.
So,
like, even if they last 2 years, if you got 50 of them, they're going to start staggering, and you'll, once a week you'll be replacing
even then,
them. So.
Right? Like in high traffic areas, like that 2 years is a very loose 2 years. I've got the front door I'm replacing every 3 to 6 months easily.
Yeah. Okay.
And once the battery starts going down a little bit, the signal starts dropping out. So then, you may close the door, but doesn't send the signal that the door's closed, and then you're left in limbo. Like, can I trust this sensor? So, and I think a lot of security companies now are just defaulting to putting in wireless sensors anyway, because they don't want to run wires through existing houses and all that. So, probably in a sense, you're lucky to have an old school alarm system that's hardwired around.
Yeah, I don't know if you've seen, do you guys know the YouTube channel Level 1 Techs that's got Wendell on it? He had a playlist on there that I thought was really good. He was talking about IoT and like the problem with how the industry is at the moment with the sensors and all that sort of stuff, and how we could improve it to be more like industrial systems and in terms of reliability and that sort of stuff. So I sort of followed his philosophy on a lot of things. I like the idea of like piggybacking off an existing AC or so all the functionality is still there. So that's what I've tried to do. But here, basically, I've got a little SP board on the garage door opener as well, because that's another thing you just take with you once you go. So that's been quite handy because we don't have a internal access to the garage. So what spurred me to put that in is my wife would come in and she gets to close the garage door and it'd just be open all night. And so I was like, I've got to do something about that.
Yeah. So, or you lock the remote in the garage, and then you've got no way to get back in.
So So you put that in, and then you think, oh, maybe it'd be cool if I, drive in the driveway and the door would open. And so it's, gone down that path. Because we've got a really steep driveway and the door's really slow. So you got to go up the driveway and then sit and wait for the thing to open. So
right.
Yeah.
I wanted to automate that. So I've finally found a way that sort of works. Because I tried a few different things, but I was trying to set input booleans through the Home Assistant app when I get into the car. But depending on where I am, I might not have any service, and then that just falls apart when you get home because it doesn't connect and go through and like that. So my latest one is that I know I have internet service in my current zone at home.
Yep.
And it shows you the web you get from the Home Assistant app, shows you whether you've got a focus mode on. So when you're driving, it's set to the driving focus. So I know that I'm driving in the car. It's just flawless now. It works really well.
That's interesting.
Nice.
So is that an iOS feature, like the focus mode, or an Android focus mode?
Yeah, so it's a iOS feature. So when you connect to CarPlay, it just sets it into driving mode, and it's for things like, it's meant to be for like silencing your SMSs and all that sort of stuff. But I just set that all to not do anything. All it does is just tells Home Assistant that I'm driving, which works quite well. Yeah.
Yeah, that is cool. That's actually not a bad way to do like other automations too. It's just got me thinking. That's actually really cool.
Yeah, so you get like the automotive, or your walking, or your stationary, or whatever. So you can pair it with that, because I wanted to split. I'm still trying to find out a way. Like if I'm driving my wife's car, then we've both got CarPlay, but you can't currently distinguish between the two cars.
Right. So like if you have two doors, which one, left door, right door, you don't know.
Yeah.
Well, I've seen people do like little ESP sensors or something like that in the cars too, right? So when that car arrives and then you are in that car, so it says basically it's two different sensors, right? One is on the phone saying this is Simon. The other one's on the phone saying this is car number 1, right? And then when you combine those two, you say, okay, Simon is in car number 1, and then based on that, you can do whatever.
I tried doing that. I might try and look into it again, but it was really slow for me. It just wasn't opening.
Yeah. Interesting.
So what else have you done in terms of, so you've got your alarm panel in place, and that gives you access to sensors. Have you got like motion activated lighting? Like being in a rental, I'm guessing you're not changing switches.
I'm not changing switches. I've got little lamps with smart bulbs in them. And I'm trying to do like where I can, not having to manually touch them. So for example, the ones I've got a few in the living room, and they'll come on just before sunset, and then they'll just stay on. But for example, when we go to bed, like it goes into night mode automatically. But rather than doing it from like just plugging my phone in or something like that, I've got it's like a template trigger sensor. And so it looks at a bunch of motion binary sensors, and I've got them grouped into 2 different triggers. So one's for like common areas and one's for bedrooms. And so when a bedroom one triggers, it says, okay, someone's gone into the bedroom after this time at night, and there's no presence or like mmWave or any motion anywhere in the house. Once the motion's completely dead, then we'll start turning it down, and then it turns it off. So that way, no matter who goes in which bedroom, who goes to bed first, you get up in the middle of the night, they come on dim and they go back off when you go back to bed.
Very nice.
And that triggers like smart plugs as well, which turn off a bunch of stuff. And so it works quite well.
And you mentioned the mmWave sensors, so I'm guessing that the house alarm panels have got standard infrared.
Correct.
So you can access that pretty quickly. In terms of turning lights off, do you find that the alarm panel sensors don't, like if you're stationary in a couch, they turn lights off? So and I'm guessing you've now got mmWave sensors to complement those?
Haven't had them for that long, actually. I'm just playing around with them now, but previously I was using like with ESP Home, you can put it's a really basic sort of script that you put on one of the devices, the basic, when you plug it in, you give it power, it sends a ping and says, I'm alive. It just sends a heartbeat every now and then.
Yep.
And so I'd have that plugged into the USB port of the TV or into my computer monitors. So I'd know that if I'm sitting there, it's not going to turn everything off. That's part of the sort of presence. But I've just added mmWave recently.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, that's what I always found too. Before I was using, those mmWave sensors, you have to use other signals in the house to know if someone's in the room, right? TV's on, okay, don't turn the lights off if the TV's on, for example. Problem with that is, of course, if someone leaves the TV on, then the lights never turn off.
Yeah. So, but I also, I was playing around with some, I was looking at AliExpress. I found some, how in your car, your car seat sensor, found some of them, and I was using them for bed sensors and things like that. They work okay, but ever since I've gone mmWave, I just haven't bothered with them anymore.
Yeah. It's a real game changer, I think. In the last couple of years, it's changed everything, right?
Yeah. It's funny because you didn't really see it too often, and then all of a sudden you're because it's been around for presence sensors have been around for quite a while, right? It's nothing new, but in the last, I think it just became a lot more accessible, maybe, and then it just started snowballing from there, right? So it's.
So how are you driving Home Assistant? Are you the only one in the house that sort of and has control of the house? Have you opened it up to anyone else in the house to be able to access Home Assistant? Are you tablets on the wall or anything like that?
I don't have any tablets on the wall. I'd like to, but I don't really have any way to mount them.
If you want to rent Friendly Way, when from Amazon US, I got some 3M hooks. They're called I think it's Tab Pad Pro or something. And they're really strong 3M hold little clips that you put one on the tablet and one on the wall, and then they just slide the tablet on the wall. Look pretty slick.
Yeah, okay.
And then to take them off, you just get a hairdryer and some fishing wire or something to take off the wall cleanly.
Nice. Okay. I've considered putting it onto a bookshelf or something like that, so it's not actually on the wall.
Right.
But at the moment, I've got just my phone app, my wife's phone app, and then everything else I've tried to just not necessarily need too much interaction.
Yeah.
But I want to start looking down that way because I'm looking at whole home audio and stuff at the moment. I want some controls on the wall for that.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Are you planning on doing most of those wirelessly? Because again, like you were saying earlier, you can't run cables and do all of that stuff, right?
Yes, for the moment. We're currently looking to buy a house, so we're I'm sort of looking that way in the future. But at the moment, it's just some wireless stuff. I'm using Logitech Media Center, which is really nice. It works really well. I've just found out because I'm running it on a Raspberry Pi with a DAC hat and some bookshelf speakers. But I found out that there's a software repository called Squeeze Lite that you can put onto an ESP32, and then there's no SIM SD card or anything to worry about. It just runs on that. So I've ordered a little $20 board. I want to test that out when it comes in.
Nice. That's perfect.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing you're good with the soldering iron.
I'm not too bad with the soldering iron. I'm okay. I'm not great, but I've done a little bit here and there for work as well. So
yeah, that's always been my challenge with the ESP stuff. I'm if I have to do any fiddly wires or anything, I get so frustrated. It's just I'm buying something that will just work. That's why I've got Sonos everywhere and
What have you done in terms of the UI for that though? I'm kind of struggling with that at the moment, making something nice and intuitive and.
Yeah, so for in terms of audio, yeah, not much. Not well, I should say. We use the Amazon Echo as a driver, so we can pair them with Sonos and say, all right, this Echo Dot, when we play music, it plays through this Sonos speaker. which is all great until the Sonos speaker is up so loud that if you need to change the song or turn the volume down, the little lady can't hear you because it's using a different speaker. There's no, I can't then say, to her, I'll play this music in another room. It doesn't get that fine control. For that, I would use the Sonos app on my phone, and then I'm the master of that, right? So there's no one else in the house. I did at one point start experimenting with some Lovelace dashboards when I had, when it was still called Lovelace, and when I had a tablet on the wall in my rental. There was a little music page that I had, and I was using tiles, and essentially there was a drop down. You would choose which speaker you wanted to play on. And that'll have some input booleans. Do you want to play the music everywhere, or do you want the music to follow you around the house based on motion sensors? It would then group the speakers together when there was occupancy in a room. And then there was just basically, here's some Spotify playlists or some tune-in radio stations, and you would just tap that. It would fire a script, which would then read which speaker was in the drop-down and play the selected playlist to that speaker. It worked pretty well, but no one except for me really admired it, if that makes sense. Plus, then you're restricted to whatever those set playlists are, right? And, for us at the moment, with kids, it's always the Wiggles essentially at the moment. But, I'm guessing as they get older, they're going to have different tastes, or, we want to not listen to the Wiggles, every day of the year. And so you can't, unless you go in and change that dashboard, there's no way to really free select music. There's no search box or anything like that.
Yeah, I've been looking at like the radio browser so that you can have sort of different music instead of having the same stuff all the time. But what I really want is podcasts. I'm a big podcast listener, but I can't find any details anywhere of how people have done that. As in have an interface within Home Assistant that does it.
Because I think there's certainly like you can integrate RSS feeds into Home Assistant, display, right? There's a new episode of the podcast out here. But how you play them, I haven't really looked at that either.
Yeah.
That would be cool, right?
Yeah. I mean, I don't do a ton with Home Assistant with audio, but
I guess you could, assuming that you've got the podcast feed, you could essentially download the MP3 file when the RSS changes, save that to the local, the local directory of Home Assistant where the www uploads are, and then that would be accessible to the Home Assistant media player. You would just browse the local server, and then from the server, it then could cast out to your available media players. That might be one way to do it.
Yeah.
But
okay. I'll look into that.
Yeah. But then it's got to obviously be able to read the ID3 tags, because, some podcasts will have just a UID as the MP3 file name, and then you're stuffed, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Are you using any voice assistants around your house?
Well, it's funny you say that, because the reason I've kind of gone the Logitech media server route was because I had a bunch of Google Home Minis, and then I don't know if you heard for a little while there they said, we'll do one speaker group and that's it.
Yeah.
And update came down and ruined it all, and I just said, screw it, I'm going to do something else.
Well, I think they had an argument with Sonos. They got into a bit of legal trouble with Sonos. And they removed it, and I think now they're bringing it back because they won the legal case, or they paid something to Sonos to sort of. Yeah,
I believe it's back, but I've since bought a bunch of hardware, and so I'm kind of moving that way now. But we do have those still for voice. I did muck around a little bit with the Year of the Voice stuff. There was a YouTube video recently. I can't remember the name of the channel, but he was integrating ChatGPT to have better conversations and that sort of stuff. I messed around with that a little bit, and it was okay, but it's not quite there yet.
Because Ryan, you showed me a YouTube channel of someone that actually put ChatGPT to control the whole house, right?
Yeah, I've seen a few of them, and I've actually been trying to get local AI working and stuff like that too, right? Because that's kind of a local drop-in replacement for ChatGPT. As in they use the same API structure, so you can just use any ChatGPT extension in or plugin in Home Assistant and actually use that to do whatever, except it runs all locally, which obviously I'm a pretty big fan of. But I actually just couldn't get the the service running at all, so it was like it just craps out every time. And apparently there's a known issue that's gone on for quite a while, actually, that I'm not sure is being I don't know if it's being worked on or what have you. I think it's a known issue. I just don't know if it's a big enough known issue or a wide enough spread known issue that it's a problem. But I've been playing around with a couple of other plugins and stuff like that. But yeah, right now I'm just watching like a lot of people on YouTube and stuff like that are like, hey, we're doing this thing with ChatGPT or with some local variant of that. There's actually a thread on the Home Assistant community where somebody developed another basically another extension that they were looking at for that for running a local kind of generative AI thing, right? So, but yeah, I haven't done a ton with it, but I don't know. It's intriguing, right?
I think it'll be great once it matures a little bit. It'll make things so much better.
Yeah. I think it's going to be interesting in the next couple of years to see just how much this AI infiltrates our lives, and also in the smart home space, right? Because I think in smart homes we're sort of like on the cutting edge of new technology in general, right? So, yeah, it's going to be very interesting.
I mean, to me, that should be the Home Assistant theme for 2023, right, or 2024, right? So it's saying like, you had Year of the Voice. Yeah. Maybe this is Year of the Local AI, right?
That'd be nice.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I'm hoping there's a lot more stuff on that comes in and do that kind of thing, right? So, well, what else are you doing around the house, Simon? I mean, it's I know, like, in terms of automations and those kind of things, like what are some of the other pieces that you're doing in there?
Oh, well, I mean, since I've got the alarm, everything put in now, I've got like a sentry mode sort of thing. So it'll monitor when everyone's there, and then once we leave, it'll send me like a critical actionable notification. Also, give me 3 minutes to intervene, otherwise it arms the house.
Okay.
But then I was getting like constant notifications, not constant, but every time it would arm, it would have the previous time it armed there as well, so they'd be stacking up.
Right.
But then I found that there's a call you can make to clear it, so it now clears it off. So that works well.
Nice.
I've got a bunch of my mum's pot plants here. She's got like a spare key to the house because they sold their place, so she's got no room at the moment. But her phone and my stepdad's phone is monitored on the Wi-Fi and with BLE, so it automatically disarms and goes into guest mode automatically if they come in to water the plants or whatever. And so we haven't touched the alarm panel in forever. I don't think my wife even knows the code. So
nice.
Yeah. So if it fails one day and she needs to, put in the code because the alarm's going off, I don't know how well that will go down, but we'll face that what happens.
Yeah, that's interesting. So, and this is actually a good question, because I saw in your original email that you sent, like, you've got a whole bunch of different modes for your house, so sentry mode and guest mode. Can you explain to me what do the different modes, like how is the house structured when the house is in those modes? What does it entail for you? Like, what's the difference between guest mode and holiday mode for you?
So holiday mode would be like simulated lighting, and sometimes I'll stream stuff over the TVs to make it look like someone's here, that sort of stuff. It also obviously arms everything. It'll send me notifications if the alarm's been triggered or anything like that. I also found like an email to SMS gateway through Telstra.
Yep.
So it sends me text messages in case something else is not working with the notifications.
Nice.
But then I've got like guest mode that'll stop certain things from happening, and I could do that either with a Boolean or, like I said, automatically with certain things. And then I've got like one of the latest things I was doing is I want to try and improve some of the automations based on the context. So I've got like I did a script with some of the new response variables, and so it sends me back. I can send it an entity ID, and it'll send back, oh, this person pressed this on the UI, or it was done physically via a switch, and I can do all sorts of conditions on that.
Yep.
To sort of smarten up the automations a bit. So I'm trying to get a lot more context on a lot of things. I've got devices everywhere, and I want to get as much info as I can, but I'm not necessarily using them for one particular thing. I'm just honing down on every single automation and trying to make it as seamless as possible.
Yeah, nice. And for your automated like holiday lighting and TVs, are you using any packages to do that, like any custom components, or are you just doing automations to basically...
Sounds an automation. I think it was Slacker Labs that did it on YouTube. I found one of his automations that worked really well. It was like just a bunch of random timers and things like that. And it would grab from a template a bunch of light entities and randomly pick one, and that works quite well.
Yeah, that's cool. Because I know, like, I use the custom component Alarmo to simulate an alarm panel in Home Assistant.
Okay.
Because I don't have a physical alarm system here. But that gives me, the house modes, vacation mode, night mode, and all that. So yeah, being able, like, I've also got it so that if the house is in armed away mode for more than 24 hours, it automatically goes into vacation mode. So yeah, then it would be the next step is, okay, now let's automate, lights turning on in vacation mode, TVs going on and all that. Because I think I've seen some component, like, some scripts out there or blueprints, to automate it, right? Like to essentially I even think there's some out there that will monitor your usage patterns, what lights you generally use, and then simulate that over time. Like, so when you're on vacation, if it knows, all right, usually at this time the kitchen lights are on, I will then turn those lights on to sort of give it a more natural feel. So
so mine's very similar. I think it's 18 hours that I use, but I also use the proximity component. So if everyone's more than 150 Ks away, it goes straight into holiday mode.
Nice. Yep.
Right.
Yeah, it's actually good. Proximity, I've got that linked up, so I may as well use that too.
Yeah, that's actually really smart there too.
What I want to try and do is sort of go down into like room level, and I've done a little bit with ES Presence and using that, but I don't want to have like two ESP boards in every room, one for ES Presence and one for ESP Home stuff. Lately, I've been using like the private BLE tracker device. And that sort of gives you, like, in one of the attributes, it gives you like a estimated distance, but I don't find it very useful. Like, it doesn't seem to line up as well as ES Presence. But where it tells you whether you're home or not, it gives you the source MAC address. So I've just put that in a template somewhere and said, okay, this MAC address is in this room. And that way I get rid of the extra ES Presence board and just run on another ESP Home device that I've got other sensors on. It's giving me the room level detection, and that's seems to be working okay. I've only just started doing it. It's not quite as accurate as ESP Home, but maybe once I get more nodes, it'll pick up a bit better.
Does that mean that you would then have to carry a device around on you to know what room?
Yes, but I'm doing it off Apple Watch, so it's I've basically always got it on anyway. So
yeah, that's cool. How do you find your detection speed though? Like, is it sleeping, or like is it every 60 seconds that it would detect the Apple Watch, or is it pretty quick?
I think it's, from what I was reading, it sort of depends. Like Apple does it based on a bunch of different conditions. So sometimes you'll walk into the room and it'll be like instant. You'll cross a barrier and it'll be like, okay, you're in this room now. But other times it's a little bit slower. But I don't know if that's a signal strength thing. I haven't worked that out yet, whether it's a signal strength thing or it's just not as quick.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah. I would think it would be fairly quick, right? Because at the end of the day, it's more passively reading it anyways. So it's just looking for that.
Yeah, I mean, if you look
BLE.
at the logs in ESP Home, if you put them in like debug mode, you get a whole bunch of them. Like it seems pretty quick. Like it's
just
constantly coming in.
Yeah, exactly. So it should be. It's probably not a range thing, right? It's probably just it might just, or sorry, it's probably just it's too far. Not a slowness, right? If anything.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, but you don't get, like in ES Presence, you can say, the boundaries of the room are this many meters. We don't have anything like that yet. So it sort of picks up the other room sometimes. But
that makes sense.
It seems okay. We'll see how that goes.
Now, tell me about garbage bins for you, because I know, like, I've thought about some crazy ideas for my garbage bins, but what have you done?
I have a tile, an old tile that I had, and I zip tied it to the garbage bins,
nice.
one to each.
Yep.
And I had an ES Presence node in the garage. But the reason why this happened is because our garbage collection is on a Monday night, which is fine, but we have quite a lot of public holidays on a Monday, and you just never remember on the public holiday because you're not at work and you're probably the normal routine. And so a few times we'd just completely forgotten and there was, rubbish everywhere.
Yeah.
So sort of went down this route and that works well. You can have, some sort of BLE beacon and a ES Presence node, and based on the distance, you'll know whether it's up in the driveway or down on the street. And if it's not there at the right time of day, then I get a notification to take it down.
Now, what sort of tile are you using? The Tile Pro that you can replace the battery in?
It was a really old one, so I don't know what it is, but it did have a coin cell battery in it.
Okay,
I tried a couple of like cheaper random ones off AliExpress, but they'd go to sleep and they just didn't work too well.
Yeah, I use the same Tile Pros. Like, love them. I've got them in my daughter's backpack. I've got my keys. The only problem, I really like them because, you just replace the coin cell battery, right? But I've found now that you can't buy replaceable battery tiles in Australia, at least. They're all...
Why is that?
They've all gone, like, same with the iPhones, right? It's all non-replaceable batteries, 3-year battery life, sealed unit for waterproof. I think Tile do make a battery replaceable unit, like it's Tile, now it's called the Ultimate Pro or something like that. But for whatever reason, it's not for sale in Australia, which is annoying. So, yeah. And then my other thing was, I've thought about, connecting like a tile or a Bluetooth tracker to the bin, but I've always been, I don't want it, whatever's keeping it on the bin to give way. And then as it's going, the garbage truck's picking up the bin, there goes, $50 Bluetooth tracker in the rubbish bin, right? Literally down the rubbish. But yeah, I guess, a zip tie seems pretty secure.
Yeah, you got like the handle and there's a little post there. It's on there and it's pretty tight. So it's been there for, I don't know, a couple of years.
And it's okay in the weather, like not the rain doesn't.
Yeah, surprisingly, it's been okay. Yeah.
Oh, that's good. All right. Well, I do like that.
Unfortunately, I guess depending on where you live, because we don't have bins for the recycling and whatever. We have like boxes, right? Like, so it's like a recycle box. So and these guys, I've literally seen like some of our like the garbage collection folks, like they'll grab it, they'll toss it in, because again, they're in a rush, right? So they'll toss it in and they'll literally just chuck the box. So it's like it's not going to stand that. Like I've got like 4 broken boxes. like it's luckily the city, like they'll replace it because they know, right? Like they but it's like, again, I don't blame the workers either. Just again, they've got a timeline that they have to get all these homes done in, right? So it's you take it, chuck it in, chuck it out, right? So it's but yeah, it is. I guess I'm trying to think, because that is actually a really good system. Like but even like gluing a sensor down is just, it's like, I feel like it's not going to work.
No, but I mean, if I had cameras, I'd do like frigate or something and say, are the cameras at the top of the driveway and are the bins there, so.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Some people I've seen used like a vibration sensor because it picks up the tilt. So when they wheel the bin down, the bin's on a tilt. So
interesting. Yeah. But same problem, right? As they still got the
Yeah.
So I know we were talking about like different house modes and stuff a little earlier. I just want to go back to that. So what are you doing in terms of like managing, like, let's say you're past 150 kilometers, your house is now in vacation mode or holiday mode.
Yes.
What is your house doing in terms of like heating, cooling, all of those kind of things?
I don't really. I've got a really, really old aircon system here. Like we're 25 years old. Like there's no integration or anything there. It's just like a cheap panel on the wall. But I did do like it gets really cold in the house in winter. So I've got some smart plugs and some, like some oil space heaters, and they sort of regulate the temperatures in the rooms, especially when the kids are sort of younger. I didn't want to wake them up in the middle of the night because they were freezing and that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And that would be based on a whole bunch of stuff, whether they're in the room, and if we leave, they turn off automatically in the morning and all that sort of stuff. It was just sort of maintaining a baseline. But that's all I really do. The only other thing is fans. Like if it's really hot, you go in the room, it'll turn on. But yeah, unfortunately, I don't have any aircon integration at the moment. It'd be nice.
Yeah. Okay.
So you don't have like the aircons that you do have. There's no like IR blasters that you could access or anything.
No, it's like a ducted system, and it's just a really old panel on the wall. And doesn't take anything. Like I sort of looked at it and thought, can I hack something together? But I don't know if I really want to take the risk.
Yeah.
I was going to say, break out the soldering iron, right? It's top play.
That's it.
I mean, if it all goes terribly, I guess maybe they'll upgrade it to a new one. I don't know, but no, I don't think I will.
Yeah. Are you tracking the temperatures in each individual room? So for those oil heaters that are on, can you like automate them so when it gets to a target temperature to turn them off as well, or is it just?
Yeah. So I've got some Philips Hue motion sensors, and they've got temperature in them as well. Yeah. So they do like motion, temp, and ambient light level. So it sort of turns them on and off throughout the night. Like you can actually see in the graph, like it goes on, off, on, off, and just maintains the room. Yeah.
Are you tracking any of those stats long term apart from Mrs. Have you got like any Grafana or anything set up?
I've played around with it in the past, and I thought, this is pretty cool. But then I sort of never did anything with it. Like once I've got it, I was like, what do I do with it? Like there's, I've logged together the solar panels. They're in the energy energy location. But I could see all that. But other than that, I don't really use it. Like it's nice to see, but I don't know how I would use it. I need some good ideas on that.
Yeah, I started the same thing, and then I was sort of like, all right, well, I don't know really. I can't automate against this data yet, and then you sort of change some entity IDs, and the data goes away, and then you go, oh, actually, because I was thinking, all right, I want to look at the blinds. All right, I've been in this house for a couple of years now. I want to look at the blinds. There's an annoying angle of the sun. Maybe I can look at what the sun angle was this time last year. Maybe there's some correlation between there, and then I'm like, entity IDs have changed, and I haven't been looking at this thing like it's been broken for 6 months, so the data's gone. Like it would be good for like long, like what's the average temperature in a bedroom over the 3 years or whatever, but it requires you to maintain it, right?
I find a lot of people collect it for the sake of collecting it, but there are a lot of people that'll actually go back and review that data, right? And again, to say, okay, how can I improve my automations? How can I do all of that? I think it's more for you rather than for, to Phil's point, rather than for automating against. Not that there's no possible way to do that, but it might be again, that data is live in Home Assistant, right? So you don't need to go look back into.
I'd love to be able to get to the
Grafana
point where I could say, all right, I've changed the automations to close the blinds now when it gets over 26 degrees and the sun's at the angle where the sun's going to come in. Close the blinds. Does that actually reduce the temperature inside the house, like by a couple of degrees?
Right.
Or has that just done nothing and I could keep the blinds open and just blast the aircon at the same temperature and be in the same position, right? Like I'd love to be able to go to that level and ask questions of the data, but I'm not that much of a data scientist nerd to
exactly. It's correlation.
Right? Yeah.
I'd like to do it off power usage and see how much I've actually reduced things.
Yes.
But like Holy Grail would be to have like everything connected, your power usage, your solar coming in. And then do things like, I don't know, you're getting too much excess solar, cool a house for free, like all that sort of stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
So have you got energy monitoring? You said you got solar panels integrated into Home Assistant. Are you actually monitoring your energy consumption through Home Assistant?
I don't have. We got a smart meter installed, but it's not linked in. There's some proprietary Zigbee thing that it uses.
Right.
But I think there's some sort of API someone had used to grab it off the app. It doesn't come in as often, but I haven't looked into it yet. I'd like to.
Yeah, right. One of the listeners to the podcast gifted me a Rainforest Eagle. And we've got the same thing down here in Victoria. Smart energy meters, Zigbee based. So I would just go to the power distributor and give them my meter number, give them my name so that they can check, right, this meter belongs to me. And then they expose the Zigbee radio key to me, which I can then plug into the Rainforest. And it's just it just reads the meter in real time based on the Zigbee data flowing over the air. I can then expose that data through a Docker container that then pushes the Rainforest Eagle data through MQTT, and that goes straight into Home Assistant, and away it goes.
I'll definitely be looking at one of those.
Yeah. Think if you've got solar panels, you might be able to get that from your distributor anyway, or maybe there's another API or something you could access. But yeah, so it's definitely cool.
I've got the solar stuff coming in, just not what we're using off the grid.
Yeah. So yeah, I definitely recommend looking at that because it certainly works for me in Victoria. So it's a good chance, same system in New South Wales. Might work for you as well.
Definitely.
Yeah.
What's your sort of end goal? Home automation, sort of, holy grail.
End goal. I think I've achieved most of it. It's like as minimum maintenance as possible, or just like getting the house to assist where it can. So I got a robot vacuum last year, and it's just a game changer, like in terms of just keeping the house clean, right? We do have to tidy up so many toys, right? Every day the toys just come out and you have to move the toys so the vacuum cleaner can get around them. That's an annoying. House can't help with that. But, things like, and I think you've done the same thing that I did, dishwasher and washing machine notifications, right?
Yeah.
So I've got a 3-year-old daughter, and I have an announcement from when we walk into the kitchen, if the dishwasher has been marked as clean from the power usage, the Amazon Echo will announce that the dishwasher is cleaned, it needs to be unstacked. And my daughter is in that perfect age where that's exciting for her, right? Oh, the dishwasher's got to be unstacked, and she's in the age where she can help. So I've almost automated the dishwasher getting unstacked.
Nice.
As soon as she hears that, she's like, yes, I need to unstack the dishwasher, and away she goes. She'll start putting the cutlery away, and I'm making sure she's not going to drop her plate and smash it. I've got, washing machine notifications. So many times the washing machine would turn off and we would not remember to take the clothes out, and then you'd open them up and, got to do the washing again, right? I've also got to the point now where as soon as once the washing machine's done, if I walk into the room, into the laundry, open up the washing machine, then go to take the washing outside, so an external door opens, the house will know that there's washing outside, so it will remind me to actually bring it in, because I always forget. Like, when it gets to sunset, I'm like,
oh, that's good. I'm going to take that one.
Yeah, take it. Like, I forgot the washing's out on the line, right? And then the home assistant will remind me, I think it'll send me a telegram message, 30 minutes before sunset, go bring the washing in before it gets dark. But I've also got a weather station outside. So if it starts raining, and it detects rain, it will actually say, hang on, there's rain, you've got washing outside, it's raining, go bring it in now. And it'll also look, I wish I listened to it. I did this, when was it, Thursday or something? I wish I had listened to myself. It looks at the forecast, and if I go to take washing outside and it says, oh, hang on, I got a telegram message, there's a 70% chance of rain today, maybe hang the washing out inside, don't put it outside. And I was like, nah, it's fine. Those grey clouds are ages away. And literally 5 minutes after I got inside, whoosh, rain all over the clothes. I'm like, oh, that'd be bloody right.
That's funny.
So just the house trying to be a good guy, right? And
I like those. They're good, simple but useful.
Yeah, and also like the next I want to go to is like turning the TV off when no one's in the living room. Like daughter, watching cartoons, and then be like, all right, I want to play this now, and the TV's still playing. I'm like, all right, I can turn that off. And robot lawnmower is definitely my future. I was hoping some options in CES would come out, but I'm not sure yet. But once the house can mow its own lawn.
I need an inexpensive one though. Right now, they're all like way beyond my budget, right? It's
exactly too expensive, or have to run wires everywhere. And I'm not.
Or both.
So if I can get the house to mow its own lawns and water the garden, and I'll be happy.
I did an irrigation system at my mum's place.
Oh, really? How'd you go?
System that was pretty good.
Yeah. Did you run the pipes and everything yourself?
Well, actually, they had tap valves, because there was 3 taps around the house, and they were using those for a while, and it was just battery powered stuff, and they were just rubbish. They just kept dying. You had to reset the tile on everything on them constantly.
Yep.
So we ended up running some cabling down to the tap, and put a proper valve on it.
Yep.
And had it was like a Sonoff 4-channel Pro in the garage with the 4 zones.
Yeah.
And that worked really well. You could just go in and, you had the automation on the device itself. You'd press the button, it would go for, 15 minutes or whatever, and then turn off again.
Yeah.
And it would stagger through the zones. And that was pretty good.
That's nice.
Yeah. But I've got one automation that makes me laugh every time, because I've got it's like a text-to-speech thing. So if the internet goes down, there's like a ping binary sensor that's pinging Google, and it just lets us know the internet's gone down, going into offline mode or whatever. So, but if the kids are on the iPads, they're just, it's devastating for them. and then there's another one that comes on that says, the internet's been restored, and they're just, cheering, and, it makes me laugh.
Yeah, I've got so many problem binary sensors in home. This is just monitoring. This device is offline. That means that's not going to be able to be automated, and which is annoying. I've got critical and non-critical. There's always a critical problem. Because I got Zigbee issues at the moment, I'm always seeing this water leak sensor's gone offline. I'm like, I've got to go repair that now, or this blind has gone offline. I've got to go repair that.
Are you using a Sky Connect or?
Yeah, I've got the Home Assistant Sky Connect at the moment. I've come from the Combi onto the Sky Connect. I think my next move is going to be creating 2 Zigbee networks again. One on the Combi, one on the Sky Connect. Splitting them. I think there's just, I don't know what it is. It's too many devices going on, and network just, it's frustrating me.
How many have you got?
60 something, I think.
Oh, okay.
Count. Yeah. A lot of them are powered, so they should all be routable.
Yeah, I was going to say, because you have a lot of mains powered ones, right? So there shouldn't be, and that obviously strengthens the mesh quite a bit more too. So
yeah, exactly.
That's
I found the problem is interference. So
and I tried moving my Wi-Fi network around, which helped a little bit. But the thing is, like for blinds, for example, like I can't. Blinds can send their status back to Home Assistant. That's fine, but when I try and control the blinds from Home Assistant, I just get a failed message, like could not send the control packet to that device or whatever.
Right.
Yeah, and if I repair, like I go in and link it back up, it'll go. Battery devices will just be marked as unavailable, and I just link them back up, and away they go. So it's a mission.
I changed from the Combi to the Sky Connect recently, and I had similar issues. Like I was constantly getting messages saying, failed to receive or whatever. And I went back to the Combi. I haven't figured out what the issue was yet because I'd like to go to the Sky Connect, but I haven't had nearly as many issues.
Yeah, I found the Sky Connect better than the Combi.
Okay.
And yeah, I just think for whatever reason, I don't know what it is. But it just seems to be some limitation in the Zigbee network for whatever reason. Maybe I've got like a dodgy Zigbee device somewhere that's flooding the network or something.
I mean, it might be your neighbor's Wi-Fi. There's nothing you can do with that, So.
Yeah, exactly. But
yeah,
pretty like I'm in a detached house, so not too much interference around. But do you have any end goals for once you get into your house? Like, is it game on? Like, you're going to see...
probably. I'm sort of cautious as to how I do it because I don't want to be like, I want to make things more difficult.
Mm-hmm.
Like you want to keep it as simple as possible. Like I want to put audio in the rooms, but then, how do you control the volume easily and that sort of stuff? So you've got to sort of really plan it out. But if I can get rid of all batteries is wherever I can.
Yep.
Like I'm fiddling around with like PoE, ESP development boards at the moment. Checking a bunch of sensors on there. If I could stick that in the ceiling in each room and not have to worry about batteries, then that would be great. But yeah, I like getting ideas from everyone. Like you used to see all these Reddit posts, what have you done this week and that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And there'd be some really good stuff in there, but I don't see it as much anymore.
Do you think that's because people have like tapped out, like we've reached like the limits of Home Assistant? I just feel as though like Home Assistant's sort of limitless. Like there's always someone that can do something crazy with Home Assistant, right? Like people are brewing beer with Home Assistant. Like
it depends on how deep people want to go. Some people just aren't. Like I've got some other guys that I've worked with. They're engineers, same as I am, but they just don't want to. They can't be bothered going really deep, whereas I'm the opposite. Like I need to tinker with stuff, and everyone's different, I guess.
Well, I think there's also a lot of other, like I guess it depends on where you look, who you're talking to, whatever, right? Like there's still a lot of active discussions of like, hey, this is what I did, or this is whatever, right? And it's the problem is I think everybody's homes are fundamentally very different too, and like. Again, some people live on like a very large plot. Some people live in a much smaller like community, right? Like whatever. So it's like a lot more dense housing or townhomes, things like that. So different sets of problems, I think.
Right? Definitely, yeah.
So I think it's just that kind of thing too, right? So
I wouldn't mind one of those Tesla robots that can fold washing.
Did you see that though? Like there was the dude's hand in the corner, and he's like,
it's funny.
Fold my washing, put it away, and then give me a software update with new features. Okay, now I can cook me this meal. I'll take it.
I've been watching that other dude that's been doing the self-driving stuff. The Kuma AI guy. It's like a standalone device you plug into your existing car, and it just does self-driving. It's crazy.
What? I'll have to find a link for that.
I've seen a couple
open
of
source.
those.
It's called Open Pilot, the software.
Okay.
Yeah. I think I've seen that a while ago, but I don't know. I feel like I don't know how, like, they seem really good, but at the same time, like, do I trust that?
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I don't know. Like, it uses the same onboard safety sensors and everything on the car. It just changes the driving algorithm. So I think it's fairly good in that way. It's just interesting.
Yeah, it is. It is pretty cool.
Cool. All right. Well, Simon, thank you so much for coming on, sharing your story. We've really appreciated having you on. Thank you for your time.
Thanks for having me.
Brilliant.
Appreciate it.
Cheers.
See you guys.